I'm remembering right now that I didn't talk about Oscar Piastri in my video. I am excited to record. I am gonna be very interested to see how this Oscar Lando battle plays out now that Oscar's winning. I did talk about George. This Ferrari situation proves exactly why team orders are stupid, to be honest, because nobody is ever happy. The only time there should be team orders, two situations where team orders are acceptable. The, the when one person is in contention for the championship and the other person isn't, or when there's a clear like pit offset where this isn't really for the net lead of the race because the other person's going to have to end up pitting again anyway. So like whatever. But I mean, of course, I don't Lewis the I do not fault Lewis for any of this, but the second I heard him say like, "Oh, I'll let Charles go ahead in China," I'm like, he knows he's struggling anyway, and Charles would get him, so he's doing this. So in a time when he wants clean air, like he can, whatever. Like I hate, I don't like that swapping shit in general, but the like you have to like they gave him the shot. Like it all went the way it's supposed to. They gave him the shot. He didn't jump Charles, so they switched him back. Or dropped Charles, so they switched it back. But both of them were still, you know what I mean? Like you always just you create more problems than you solve. And for what? Even if they got P6, it's like, is that really the priority right now? Like, you suck. And like now I don't know. I just like the difference between P6 and P8 or and I know it's points and I know the constructors and everything, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm against it in general, but I also see like I'm not mad that they did it because they Lewis offered that in China. So like it's a little bit different because they didn't tell Lewis in China. He offered, I feel. But at the same time, like that's very it was executed the way it was supposed to be executed. I don't know. But he never even like Charles dropped 1.2 back initially, but then he was like almost instantly right back on him. I mean, they waited 2 laps. Like it's not let's it's if he was gonna if he was gonna overtake Kimmy, like he would have, it's no, he wasn't actually faster than Charles, I don't think. But that's the thing. It's like that's why I think it's. I'm not mad that he was on softer tires, in my opinion. Like, but whatever. Like he was on softer tires. They didn't have a pit stop offset in China either. So whatever, do it. But like he didn't drop him, so you have to switch back. You can't get mad at switching back then. Like you got your shot. Charles is half a second behind you, and the way they were like talking about the swap back like it was an initial team orders. I was like, no, like Charles was ahead. But I hate doing it in general. Like I genuinely think that outside of a defined set of very black and white conditions, team orders cause more problems than they solve, and it's just because it's not quantifiable. I know I am happy, but also at the end of the day, like we're P7 and P8. Like we're fighting. Like there are people fighting about this on Twitter. Like it is the lead of the World Drivers Championship. I know. I sadly agree with you. I know. Oscar, I guess I'm rooting for Oscar. I don't know. Actually, I do know. I definitely am rooting for Oscar. I love Lando's disco ball helmet. Unfortunately, I regret to inform you it's probably my favorite helmet I've had since Seb has been on the grid. I love it so much. Merc upgrade next week. I wish Ferrari would upgrade their car, although I probably will regret saying that. Okay, we can maybe skip through this part. No offense to Lily. That's true. That one was cool, but I do like, unfortunately, I think the mirror ball is my fave. Oh, oh my God, the truck interview is back. Remember when they had that trolley at Silverstone? I wonder if they're gonna get wreaths. Those Mercedes, what the fuck is happening? I love the pit cats. I would totally get one if I was a George fan. The way McLaren was 30 seconds ahead. Honestly, all you missed was pain and suffering. I also loved the Lego race. Oh, I thought he wasn't there. They just panned to the empty seat. I know, I'm happy for Williams, but at the same time, I can feel nothing but despair at the current moment in time. He's learning, he's evolving. Jensen being like, "The important thing is you did what you thought was right." Like, what is happening? I actually think no, I think Lando is this is Lando trying. I'm gonna praise him for this. I know. I do feel for him on that, but like that's not true though, because many bothered people have won a Formula One world championship. I'll say that. But I think the thing with Max and Lewis and Michael Schumacher and all the others, a lot of the others, Fernando, Seb, they're going to make you crash into them. Like if you have to be willing to crash because they're all I don't use the word psychotic. That has such a negative connotation. I don't mean it in a negative way, but you do like if you show that you will let them push you around, they absolutely will. Whereas like if you demonstrate they'll push you as far they'll like they learn your behavior and they push you as far as they know you're willing to go. That's why the Lewis Max title fight was so fucking unhinged because they're both like that. Like if you go back and watch the 2010 F1 season, like every time Lewis and Michael Schumacher are within a foot of each other on track, they crash into each other. And McLaren was struggling. So like they were doing this over like P8. Like it was so wildly unserious. Like and unfortunately, like and like Nico talks about that. Like he's like, you have to be like he had to like if you in my reading between the lines, I don't know the man, but he has talked a lot about his like mentality and mindset and stuff. And he basically had to like psych himself into that mentality because he, in my view, cared a lot about like, but so you can, yeah. Oh, Oscar going for it at the first corner. I was a little bit of an Oscar doubter because I was like, his qualifying last year, I was like, that's just like such an important part of it. You know what I mean? You can't be like, but with how, and I was like, there's no way he's just going to turn around his qualifying. And then he did exactly that. So, like, I have been completely proved wrong. But the way Oscar acts in the race has, I feel, always been like, he's had moments of like, I'm like, damn. Like, and Monza was one of those last year. Like, that was a little bit iconic, I fear. So I think he does. Well, right. And like obviously we all know what my opinion of Lando is. So like not being that was my knock against him, but I have been proven wrong so far this season at least. Of the current candidates, I will be putting my endorsement behind Oscar Piastri because it's simply not going to be Lewis or Charles. And then if we're deciding between Max and the McLarens, I don't want Max to get 5 world championships because then he'll have more than Seb. And so, yeah, I'm rooting for Oscar. I mean, I like Oscar. I'm kind of like, you know what? Go off, Queen. Give me nothing. He is funny. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm the world's number one Oscar stan. That would be just dishonest of you. But I guess I'm team Oscar. Jensen Button is also eating right now. Like his shirt is so cute. I'm getting on board. I'm getting on board. I think the thing is the reason why my not I always was like again neutral positive toward Oscar, but like that personality type of just very like placid and like he is very funny. Like it's not that he doesn't have a personality, but like I'm so the opposite person of that. Like I like my F1 drivers a little more deranged, you know? Like so I think that's maybe why. But now that he's at the front, I must say amongst his peers, I'll always be team Charles, but obviously Ferrari has yet again let us down. Is anyone surprised? No. Exactly. It's good. That's why that was sneaky, Oscar. I must admit that part of my I also am a Mark Webber hater. So like I instantly was like, is this child an op by extension? But he is not. And also, I don't really hate Mark Webber. Just don't get me talking about Silverstone 2010. The bus thing is crazy. Like, oh, and now we're doing a podium room. That McLaren employee was quite good looking. I love that they make them watch the highlights now. This is like low key diabolical. I will say another pro Lando uh comment. He used to do, I don't know if he still does it anymore, but I used to be a Lando fan. But I used to watch his on like Mondays or Tuesdays he would do a live where he watched the highlights of the race and it was actually very interesting. No, I agree. I don't think that was crazy of Lando to go for it. But Well, to be fair, McLaren wasn't exactly contending for wins in the same way, but Oscar is he is come out solidly ahead of Lando this season. I'm very impressed, to be honest. Those race suits are so ugly. I did doubt you. I did doubt you. I was not I mean, I just feel like it's pretty unusual for someone to make a performance jump like that in their third season. But at the same time, I was actually just thinking about that. It is different when you have a race winning car. I'll say that. Yeah, like he was always going to get pushed off. I don't know that like once he was in that situation, I don't I get in my opinion, I think you have to just stay your course and if Max and make Max crash into you. But obviously that's not like what your team principal would tell you to do in that situation. I just think that there is a psychological warfare element to Formula 1, but at the same time I feel like oh, hello, someone in my YouTube. Um at the same time, I feel like he just made a bad he just he it's tough because I'd have to go back and watch the beginning of the start, but it seems like he just made the wrong call, and, like, by the time he was that deep in it, it was kinda was what it was. Oscar did get him a lot faster. They're booing him! Oh my god, I love it. I love it. I'm just became the most patriotic person. Where oh, I'm looking for my phone. I'm Mohammed bin Salman. The booze. Praise hands. You have to search for emojis on here. And it's very I never know what they're called. What a beautiful, beautiful way to end a weekend. One second faster. It's just so depressing. I'm depressed. Oh. Well, no, that's the thing is like Max is heads and shoulders above both of them, if we're honest. But Literally a week ago. I do remember that. Also, Nico Rosberg is at Miami and he's not on Sky, which is pissing me off. Where is he? He was also at Bahrain and not on the broadcast. Free him. Why is he not on my television screen? Well, he didn't catch him. I just mute it whenever she talks because I like Jensen and I want to. And if I didn't watch it every time that stupid person was on, I would not get to watch Jensen. So I'm quick with the mute button. If Lando actually thinks that that was a penalty on turn one of the race, he's delusional. Like, you need to do something egregious on at turn one to get a penalty. I guess it technically wasn't turn one because it's like a still. You know what I mean? Lap one. Okay, I maybe don't need the highlights. I did just watch this. That livery, every time I looked at it, it pissed me off. It was very chippy by Max, but it's also turn one. He knows that Lando's going to back out. He knows that he's not going to crash into him because Lando's going to move. He also wiggled a little bit. I think he meant to leave him room, but oh, I know. It's so much. And I love hearing from Andrea, and we never get to hear from Andrea. It's always Zach. I mean, about Lewis the Ferrari team orders. I'm again. I feel like they could have let by Lewis 2 laps earlier. They could have let Charles back by when it became apparent he was lapping quicker than Lewis. But at the end of the day, I don't really think that either of them could have gotten Kimmy. And the we're P7 and P8. Like, I think for this is shit like this is why I think team orders are more trouble than they're worth. Like, but also at the end of the day, like they let him by. He didn't drop him. They let him back by. It's kind of a non-story. McLaren's done that a trillion times. Yuki, he got a point. Toto riding his scooter on artificial grass in the background. I know, they were instantly, like, 15 seconds ahead, it was it's so funny to me because I feel like sometimes he sounds really British and sometimes he doesn't. I mean, obviously, he doesn't actually sound British, but you know what I mean, like, the in English. I know, James Valls is doing his thing. It does hinge on next year kind of, but speaking of Alex, stop the Mercedes engine. I hope it explodes in the factory. Sorry. All right, I'm gonna get water 1 second. Yeah, Kimmy did get screwed. Oh, ooh. Um, I will say better Williams than Aston Martin. Oh, s- yeah, no, Aston is fully flopping. Thank God, but unfortunately, they did hire Adrian Newey. But will he be able to overcome the curse of Fernando Alonso? That's the true question. I know. I just and like they're not bringing upgrades till Canada at the earliest. Another triple header of this pace. Ow. How would I rate the race out of 10? Let's see. It wasn't that bad, but it really wasn't. I guess the start was interesting, so I'll give it that. And like Max, the McLaren's having to get Max, he put on a show for us. So I guess I'll say, I don't know, like 6 out of 10. It was okay, but it wasn't anything that thrilling. Yeah, but it's just the same overtake at the end of the straight. I mean, you're right, but I don't know. the Ferrari team orders to me, like, that's just like I don't know. That's just like fake drama over nothing because like nothing ended up like it just all went down like the way it was drawn up, even though they both walked away annoyed. But like that happens every time. I don't know. I'm standing by my six. I feel like a seven needs more bad because it's like it took Lando so long to get Max that he could never really catch up. That's true. That first corner is I like the way that it's designed to like drag it out, but post turn one, it wasn't like oh Charles and Charles's move on Carlos was enjoyable to myself personally, even though I mean they obviously had more pace, but Lewis was crafty waiting behind like that. That was smart. And it half worked. He got Carlos, so honestly, Max qualifying P1 saved this from being very boring. I know. I'm excited to have morning races back. I don't know that Red Bull I don't know that I'm going to count on Red Bull to get their shit together if I'm totally honest. Maybe, but McLaren is a second ahead. Now, they don't really need to close the gap for Max to be able to contend. I feel like the fact that Max is in contend not I mean he is behind, but it is kind of crazy he's kept it as close as he has, but I don't know. McLaren seem to be running away with that at the moment. Oh, I know, Ollie. Why are they walking through what looks like a college campus right now? I do like those chairs. Oh, these are the driver rooms. Ollie's name on the door. Yeah, that sucked for Ollie. Mercedes. Is George in it? I don't know if I want George. I would. That would be exciting, actually. But I will say, I feel like Mercedes are the ones that are moving in the correct direction the fastest. Ferrari is standing still, but you know what? At least they're not going backwards because that is not out of the realm of possibility with them. maybe this weekend, but I don't know about that writ large, but they have done well. I think Red Bull, when the stars align for them, is faster than Mercedes, but it's much more volatile. I am proud of Oscar for really stepping up. All right, let's see what Lando has to say. Lando does have very nice hair. I'll say that. I wish my curls were as nice as his, but unfortunately, I ruined them by doing this and dyeing them. Unfortunately, you have to pick Crash, and then it'll make Max Verstappen think twice the next time about putting you in that position. Like, that's like a problematic thing to say. I'm very sorry. But if you look at the way that any of the great drivers that have won multiple world championships over the last 20 years race, that's just like the reality of the situation. No, but like you watch when like he won't, but well, he will in a time of because like if you look at the way that he but like you races like Lewis or even really Charles, like I think that Max pushes what he knows he could get away with. Um and he often crosses that line and he often gets a penalty, but like if you show like even if he doesn't back down in the future, like if you back out and he knows that he can force you to do that, like it's only going to encourage him to do it more and like I don't know. I that that is different I also think because it's like this is like the start. It wasn't like a one-on-one like back and forth battle. I think it's a split second decision and I do think it's a smart mindset to go into the start with to be like avoid contact at all costs. Like I think that is the right attitude. But big picture, I think when it comes to racing a Max, racing a Lewis, racing a Seb, racing a Michael Schumacher, racing a Fernando, they you can't let them bully you because that like that's the worst thing you can do. That's the worst outcome. But again, it's like it's hard to apply that to every situation because you also have to know when to pick your battles. So I don't think this was necessarily like that bad by Lando, but it's just that it's a lot of the time. But I think that conversely, I think that going for it to be nice to Lando Norris in this moment for some reason. I'm being so nice to him today, but I think going for it is the right choice, even though it cost him in the end and it like maybe wasn't the right choice. I think that that's the mindset that you have to have. Oh no, it's F1 TV. We're gonna watch Sky after this, don't worry. But I just have to because I have to take a break to record my video. I get behind and then so I have to like go back and the ESPN broadcast, you have to wait for it to be done to watch it. That is true when you consider their race pace, but you have to remember that Lando Norris thinks Red Bull's faster than them, so I mean, ultimately, he was still second. Like, that's not a terrible outcome. Yeah, he would. I also think that about George and Charles and honestly, maybe even Lewis. That's not true. I think uh not Carlos, what the fuck? Oscar would get a few because he's Oscar's a crafty racer, but wait, why am I doing this the wrong way? All right, Oscar. I know. I'm so interested to see how this is gonna. Okay, Oscar's been in F1 for 3 years. Like, at some point, you got to do it. And he is. Like, to be fair, I was like, there's no way they're gonna be that. There's gonna be that jump in performance, but there honestly was. But I don't know. I feel like we give. I mean, I don't think Oscar really makes that many mistakes in the way I would think a rookie would. I actually think his judgment is one of the stronger parts of his matchup against what's his face. That's true. Okay, you guys, the wing. So the flexi there's going to be a new test introduced for the flexi wings in Spain. And probably nothing is going to change because remember when they did this for the Red Bull rear wing and then it like didn't really work at all. Um so I don't know, but I still have my hope that like for some reason McLaren's just going to not be able to do it without their flexible wing. Wait, what? Okay, Oscar. Maybe everyone's been doing the flexible wing except for what clip? Wait, what clip of Lando's interview? Oh, of Oscar doing the gritty. Yeah, it was I just not something I expect out of Oscar. No, I love that Oscar's on a run. I love it. Max, they can never make me hate you, and by they I mean you because you do try. Like I feel like I oscillate like this so much on Max just because I'm like He does shit that I'm like, "All right, bro." And but then, like, he is just unfortunately very funny. My toxic trait is that, like, being funny, it's I can't resist. It's, charms I will fall for every time. Oh. Okay, the craziest part about the race, if you go back and watch the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix, which is I believe the race Kvyat got P3 and Kelly um gave birth to Penelope. At the end, Crofty is like, "Congratulations to Kelly and Max." Is Crofty a fortune teller? Discuss. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, I like Bernie's dress. Not Ferrari. Oh my god, you're right. That is Ruth, not Bernie. I'm so sorry. I flip flopped F1 TV and Sky in my mind. But I am kind of getting figure skater. I would wear that. I do find it funny how much of a disparity there is, less so on F1 TV, more so on Sky, between how, like, the women are wearing, like, borderline black tie dresses, and the men are always just wearing, like, jeans and a polo. I'm like, "We gotta coordinate." Like, if we're gonna be going full cocktail, the men gotta at least be in, like, slacks or something. Sometimes they're like, Jensen brings it, Nico brings it with his full silk outfits, but I also get that it's hot, but it's like, I just feel like we they never match each other. Literally, it didn't end up mattering at all. I mean, you didn't really drop Charles at all, so, like, I don't actually believe you that that much time was lost in 2 laps. That is the exact correct take from Lewis, I would just like to say. So true, king. No. That was very diplomatic of you, Lewis. I can't believe he has to go to the Met Gala. At least it's convenient that it's in Miami. Ugh. Oh, not the Williams shade, but, like, you tell him, Charles. Why does Charles think they're struggling? How is there not a follow-up question to that? Okay, I know this looks crazy, but you have to I'm gonna sleep. It's for tomorrow. So you have to curl it extremely tight, especially now that my hair is so long. It falls so much. Every day is a bad day as a Ferrari fan. It's not about Lewis adapting. Like, him being half a second off of Charles is insignificant. You are P7 and P8. This is not a Red Bull situation. Sorry to Ruth. Thank you. I really like having my hair long, but it makes it so annoying to do. So I'm trying to do it every Sunday. Well, what what is the problem? What do we think Charles thinks the problem is? This is what I want to know. No, you can he Charles said the same thing that Lewis said, which is it doesn't matter. We suck, basically. And they were like, "Is there light at the end of the tunnel?" And he was basically looked us all dead in the eye and said no. That is very true. It's giving desperate. I think McLaren has demonstrated that they're gonna take a hands-off approach. Like, they're not prioritizing Oscar right now. They're letting them have at it. I think the only time the first of all, the prior like the only time the prioritization conversation should be coming in, because it's whoever qualifies ahead gets priority, period, end of discussion. The only time that changes is towards the end of a championship, and we're like not even a fourth of, well, maybe we are a fourth of the way through the season, but either way, I think, but I think your best option is to let them fight it out. Like, because I can't think of a time that, like, yes, like, I don't really buy the taking points away from each other, like, argument, like, m losing time on track, maybe, but at the I feel like you as the team also benefit from having 2 drivers in contention, because, like, you could prioritize this person and then a freaking bird could fly into their engine in the middle of the last race and whatever, but if like, in 2010, I always think about this. The commentator Brundle could not shut the fuck up about how in Brazil 2010, which was the second to last race of the season then, about how they needed to switch Mark and Seb because Mark was in a better position with engines and he was ahead in the championship, and like Seb was technically still in it, but like Mark was a lot closer. But if they had made that swap for P1 and P2, Fernando, and the results of Abu Dhabi stayed the same, Fernando would have won the championship, not Mark or Seb. So I think that there's, given the natural amount of jeopardy that is involved with Formula One, when it comes down to those last races, you benefit from having more than one driver in the game, because what you want as a team is a World Drivers' Championship winner. Like, there are situations where the only situations where the prioritization makes sense is when it's someone like Bottas who like clearly isn't in the conversation, despite, even if they're not like mathematically eliminated. But like like, I don't know. I just feel like neither of them were in it, but also like Oscar was still in it. Like, why should he? I feel like it was very early to be talking prioritization, like in Monza of all places. And I don't know. I feel like it's also so funny because it's so much of the complaints about, oh, you're playing favorites to this person, is them just like actually not, they're just not prioritizing, like, they weren't prioritizing Oscar, like, they were just not blatantly favoring Lando, and, like, well, right, and also, that was not the difference maker in the end. Where does the clover I would love, I mean, I need Ferrari to get it together. He'll never leave Ferrari too, and it's just gonna be, I can't even think about it. It's so upsetting. This is if Ferrari continues to fumble and Charles doesn't win a world championship, I don't want to brag, but this will be the first time this has ever happened to me, because when I was younger, I think like Seb was winning at that. Lewis had already, I liked Lewis. I liked Seb the most, obviously, but I liked Lewis and Nico too. Um and obviously Lewis had already won and Seb was like winning as I was watching with my family and stuff casually. But Nico did obviously went on to sneak one in. And what do you mean I don't get a happy ending? There always is a happy ending. Ferrari's gonna figure it out against all odds and rational proof otherwise. Okay, to the sky coverage. I mean, it's not like Mercedes is doing anything. McLaren is 30 seconds ahead of the rest of them. I feel like going to a Ferrari is a mistake for anyone who's ever done it. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. That's not true. Sometimes, it works out, but only if you it's like, I don't know. But also, maybe next year. I don't know what to fucking say. Okay, thank you. I also believe that. I have to believe it. Otherwise, that's true. You know what? I will say a true Charles Lewis showdown for a title. There's nobody I fear more than Team LH. Nobody on this earth. Maybe Taylor Swift fans. That's the level we're at. And I like both Lewis and Taylor Swift. I'm still terrified out of my mind. Oh, Ferrari. Why are they all wearing? Oh my God. This is the ESPN post ratio. No, you better give me. No. You better give me the ESPN post ratio. I mean, the Sky. Honestly, if they stop giving us Sky, I'll low key be happy because I can just get it illegally and then I don't have to pay $15 a month for ESPN anymore. Because that is highway robbery. It's not. Okay. Formula One, maybe? Maybe it's still on. Checker flag. It is still on. Okay, thank God. Whew. That was a close call. It's still going though. That's annoying. Wait. Valid token required. What the fuck does that mean? I mean, I watch like sometimes I watch football, sometimes I watch like other sports, but not enough. And I can also get those in other ways, like because really what I'm using for this is my parents' cable login. So, you know. Although I'm pretty sure I have it bundled with Hulu and Disney, so maybe I can't get rid of it, but I don't want the ESPN F1 post ratio. I want checkered flag. Okay, that's annoying. Let's check if the press conference is up. No. I literally hate ESPN. I don't want to watch your stupid little show. Max is probably like, and I'm out. Oh, all right. Well, I guess I'll let you guys go. ESPN is not to be. Good for Oscar though. I mean, I'm not happy, but like I already knew that Ferrari was in this state, so I'm happy for Oscar. Is it? It's surely not next weekend. Hang on. I know Imola's next. Emilia Romagna. May 18th. Yeah, we got a week in between. 2 weeks. All right, well, maybe we'll do a watch along next weekend. Stay tuned. I will see you guys soon for Imola, which is exciting. I love Imola. Well, it's actually not that great of a drag. It would be gone on my 20 race calendar, is all I'm saying. But see ya. right, Miami thoughts. I loved the Lego race. You guys know I want them to race just random forms of transportation before every single weekend instead of the sprint races. So we love to see it. The Lego guy on the grid was also very funny. But to the start of the race, Lando back up to his old tricks. And shout out to him for that, because it honestly is the only thing that really made the race interesting. Him having to make his way back, and then both of the McLarens obviously having to overtake Max. That was a valiant fight by Max, but unfortunately it was not to be. It's just so annoying that there's only one and a half spots to overtake on the track. Although Lando did sneak one in there at a weird place, but that was iconic of him. I will tip my cap. I will say that was definitely not a lap one penalty. I'm so sorry. Like, to get a penalty on lap one in Formula One these days, you have to pull out. Charles got unlucky with the timing of the virtual safety car. He was like just past the pits, but it ended up working out because he was out long enough for him to just pit the next go around. But I was stressing there for a minute. Lewis waiting on the inside when Charles was overtaking Carlos to try to get them both. That was a crafty move. You love to see it, and it has worked. So Ferrari team orders, on one hand, I get it because of what happened in China, but at the same time, like, clearly the pace differential wasn't there because he didn't. I mean, he dropped Charles like 1.2, but Charles very quickly was back up to exactly where Lewis was behind Charles. And then for a second, I was so mad because I was like, are they not going to switch them back? Because the deal is, if you drop the other person, if you make the overtake, then you don't have to switch back. But Charles was on his ass like pretty much the entire time, so that never happened. And commentary who were like, they need to do these team orders, which maybe they left it like a lap or two late, I will say, but I don't think that if you were going to go overtake accidentally like 2 laps, when you get into situations like this, I feel like you always end up causing more trouble for yourself than it's worth. And like, it worked out perfectly fine and fair, but both Charles and Lewis are gonna walk away annoyed. And like, the drama that you create for yourself over time, and it's not just that, but it's not a quantitative, measurable thing like harmony within the team. But at the same time, like, especially because we all have to work together and stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's what bothers me the most is that this is now going to be the focus instead of the fact, like, who cares? Yeah, maybe Charles could have gotten Kimmy if they swapped them back sooner when it became. Oh, I really, sorry. Rewatching my video. I didn't realize this was still live.